I'll be making a waterborne journey down Britain's longest river, the mighty Severn, visiting towns and cities along its banks, stopping off for walks in the adjoining countryside. Then I'll be travelling the Avon and the Kennet and Avon Canal back to the southern Cotswolds. Today I set off from Starport to Worcester via Hultfleet and Ombersley. And this is Starport in Worcestershire, Britain's oldest inland port. It's still a busy inlet, and in summer it's famous for its annual raft races. The River Severn courses for some 220 miles from Wales to the Channel. This is where it becomes more friendly, more easily navigable, and where I'm about to join the riverboat, Yaffle. Our guide for my adventure down this immense waterway is the environmentalist and boatman and owner of this supercraft, Doug Payne. Doug, are you there?
Hey, Chris.
Hi.
Come on board, we'll get on
I
the
will,
way.
thank you very much. Now this is obviously a very special river for you. What makes it so special?
I think that it changes. It from its top end at Starport down to Gloucester, it's not the same. I mean, up here it's nice and enclosed. The trees come right down. It's picturesque. It gets further down, it opens out, and it's a bit more industrial.
We've got a little way to go before we get to the first port of call, which is what?
Hultfleet.
You can see why they made Bath a World Heritage Site, can't you?
Oh yes.
It was just unique, nothing quite like it.
It is absolutely lovely, this city. We'll be mooring here before heading for the Kennet and Avon Canal, from whence I'll be visiting Bathampton and Bathford, on my way to the delights of Bradford-on-Avon and beyond to the southern Cotswolds. Leaving Bath by river gives you a fresh perspective on this great city. It's here that the hotel boat Harlequin meets the traffic jam to join the Kennet and Avon Canal, 57 miles of man-made waterway linking two great rivers. It's an engineering triumph.
The task of coming 100 miles across the country, from the Thames to the River Avon, without any JCBs, without any big cranes or anything like that, well, it just defies your imagination. You just cannot think it was possible. It was just totally amazing.
Inspired. The canal closed in the 50s, but enthusiasts like my boatman, Graham North, campaigned for its revival.
The length and breadth of the canal, there are volunteers everywhere running tea shops, hire boats, trip boats, all those sort of things to raise money.
And is it worth it?
Yes, absolutely.
You bet.
The most beautiful canal in the country, in my opinion. This centre section here has got 16 in it.
God.
And we've done 3 or 4 so far.
That's nothing.
Well, we're going to rise 200 odd feet
200 feet?
from top to bottom.
Wow.
Every time we empty one of these locks, about 56,000 gallons of water disappears.
Who's got the bucket at the top?
Now, when we get to the bottom, there's a new pumping station now, which every 11 minutes is the capability of pumping one lock full of water all the way to the top. Got the engine going, so we can undo the ropes and we can go. If you want to do the front,
okay,
and we'll toddle off.
Okey-doke. I must admit I'll be sorry to leave my floating hotel boat, the Harlequin, and my hosts, Graham and Colette. This is where the Kennet and Avon is at its prettiest, meandering tranquilly through the beautiful Vale of Pewsey. On a day like today, I can't think of anywhere I'd rather be. But it's time to head off across the ancient Wiltshire Downs. This is White Horse country. There are 6 cut into the chalk hillsides around the mystical village of Avebury and its ancient prehistoric stone circle.
Well, Avebury Circle, people should realise, was the meeting place, the largest meeting place of our Stone Age people and the Bronze Age people that followed them. So this was your biggest site in the country. And the stone circles probably represent the outside boundary of a building, and the earthwork that's around it, the bank and ditch, which we call the henge, is also an enclosure. It was the place that people came to gather and talk and enjoy themselves, and any excuse for a party, really.
But it's not one building. I mean, it's absolutely vast, you know.
Well, it's
you talk
huge.
about the Millennium Dome, it's not as big as this, is it?
It's of course huge, but then this was the biggest place. There were probably something like 5,000 people living in and around Avebury at its peak, which is nearly twice the size of Roman Bath.
But there was a time when it was just neglected and overgrown.
Oh yes, had it not been saved by Keeler coming along in the 1920s and 30s and spending all the money from the marmalade and sweets business that his family had made for 150 years, this wouldn't have been saved. That was the one, yeah.
Mention wine and you think of the Loire, Alsace, the Rhine perhaps, Bordeaux, but the Tiltridge Vineyard Upton-on-Severn?
Why not Upton-on-Severn?
Well, why not?
We used to grow grapes a long time ago, so why not now?
Did they?
Yes. And we produce a crop every year. We grow grapes like we grow apples and pears. They tend to be crisp, green, fresh and fruity, and that's the style that comes across in the wine.
There you go. Hey, gosh, didn't need any help at all. Well done. Congratulations. Gosh, that was highly explosive. Magnificent. Look at all that fabulous fizz. There's the name Elgar on a lot of the bottles. Is there a connection?
There certainly is. Our sparkling is called Elgar. And
oh, look, there he is.
Yes.
Is that the man himself? Look at him.
That certainly is.
Oh.
That picture we chose because we liked it. He's asleep by the river at Upton-on-Severn.
Time to head for the tranquility of the River Severn and to continue my journey on board the riverboat Yaffle. My boatman Doug Payne cruises these waters for a living, so he's wise to the story of its elvers. Amazing thought though, isn't it, that this water is teeming with little tiny, how big are they, these little elvers?
About that big.
Baby little things
3
that have
inches,
come all the way from the Sargasso Sea, which is where? Somewhere off in the Pacific.
This time of year you'll see people creeping down lanes with strange looking nets. These are the elver fishermen, and they've all got their own little place. I'm never let on when the best time is. If you know the best place, you're not going to tell the next bloke. The price of them is so high these days that the old elver scoffing championships have tended to be a bit curtailed because they just can't afford the price of them.
The river here is tidal, and we've swept at speed to our destination for today, the ancient city of Gloucester. It's the most fantastic sight. You can imagine this once upon a time in Victorian times, bustling with ships by the hundred. Now it's a tourist place, but it's been beautifully restored. Next week we're going to have a little walk around Gloucester, and then we're going to make our way in the same boat down the Sharpness Canal, another piece of great British maritime history. Back on board the riverboat Yaffle and to the Gloucester Sharpness Canal, the broadest, deepest canal in the world when it opened in 1827. It's not one's normal idea of a canal, is it? I mean, canals, you think of narrow boats and things about 6 feet wide. Well, this is, God knows what, it's enormous, isn't it?
I mean, it used to take boats from all over the world. I mean, huge great boats, 60, 80, 100 foot, 200 foot long. And from Gloucester, they'd put them onto narrow boats and Severn troughs and take them up to Worcester, then onto the canals, and they'd take them up to Birmingham and even up to Stourport.
Fantastic. So
Yeah.
this was really a way of getting sea-going ships, ocean-going ships, right into the heart of England.
Yeah.
Sharpness is where the ship canal meets the great estuary of the River Severn. And look, that bridge behind me, it's a road bridge now, but in the old days it used to carry a railway across, and it swiveled, it still swivels in fact, to let the great tall masts through of the ocean-going ships as they work their way through this port into the heart of England. Very exciting place, rich with history. My walk is taking me across country to the unlikely urban sprawl of Brislington and an oasis of calm right in the middle of it, Eastwood Farm, where I'm meeting John Atwood. Well now, John, this is a beautiful bit of valley that looks completely wild and natural, but it's actually got quite a story behind it, hasn't it?
It has. It's a very interesting site. Originally as a working farm, it's functioned for many years, being bought by the council. They then decided they needed some space for dumping the domestic rubbish of Bristol.
Oh, so this was a landfill site or something?
You wouldn't
was
believe it, would you?
You'd never know that.
And then they landscaped it, converted it into a green space for the public to enjoy.
I noticed one pond here that's perfectly round. Was that the old farmer's duck pond, do you think?
The pond itself appeared probably some 40 or 50 years ago now, when a bomb went astray from the bombing of Bristol.
During the Blitz? Oh, right, it's a bomb crater.
You're exactly right. All sorts of things can be found down here. People love to come and have a poke about in the pond. They find all sorts of things from dragonflies to damselflies, and even spot the odd kingfisher down here having a little go in the pond occasionally as well.